Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. And today we are going to have our usual sections: privacy, security, business, and Sillyville. Of course, we do need to address the primary article here today is the reversal of last week. Now, last week's Linux video, we did have an error. The error in that video was that a whole country didn't switch to Linux. It was a state within the country of Germany. I had known almost nothing about the German law and the German geopolitical system, and you'll have to forgive me for that, but if you're a German and you're offended at that, I will sit down and have questions with you about United States public and policy and things like that. I'm sure I would probably know more, so my apologies for that. Now, as far as the privacy news, we said that the FISA courts were voted down. On the third vote that the House took, they voted once again to not renew it, and then spineless, feckless moron Speaker of the House there, is that Johnson? I forget. He goes out and he has a secret meeting with a bunch of officials, and he comes back looking like he just came out of room 101. We have to vote for this. I can't tell you why. I saw secrets. I saw secrets. I saw secrets. We must vote. We must vote. And they passed it. And then, of course, the Senate goes on Thursday, and they passed it. So the FISA courts are back. Isn't it so wonderful? Of course, I'm getting into our last article, which we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But first, some good news, at least about a third or a quarter of the country have gone brain dead. The rest of us are still doing okay because most people are using fingerprints for unlocking your phone. So you see, like this Pixel that I'm using right now with Graphene OS, it has a little fingerprint thing back here. Is it set up? Nope. Not going to be either. I don't care if it's Graphene OS. Nope, not setting up a fingerprint with it. Sorry. And there's a number of reasons why. You see, if some crazy police officer wants to be like, well, we need you to unlock your phone, I cannot necessarily be compelled to give them my PIN, but I can be compelled to put my finger here. And so it raises a few of the questions and concerns. Now, they say only a fifth of people trust fingerprint biometrics. Of course, this is part of this pushing to get away from passwords. Now, of course, there's biometrics utilizing the passkeys, and there's biometrics for pins and unlocking and things like that. There's a little bit of a nuance in this field, and I understand those differences here, but for the sake of this, when it comes to utilizing biometrics, whether it be a phone or a computer, people are still mostly uncomfortable with those. And so that's kind of problematic. So with that, I would encourage people not to use these things. There are better ways of securing your devices and things like that than biometrics, especially since they even talked in this article about when the biometrics came out. They're like, oh, these are so good. It only took a year for hackers to bypass the biometrics and get into things. So NordVPN says 15% of Americans never use biometric devices at all, and 21% favor using the fingerprints over passwords. So that's good news, is that we're not buying into this stuff as fast as I thought that we might. So whatever that's worth. And Cerebral, this is a mental health company that failed to protect sensitive personal data, must pay a whopping $7 million. $7 million. That's like, excuse me, let me go get a penny from my console of my car, okay? $7 million is not nearly enough for leaking all the data. Now, what this mostly had to do with wasn't a data breach as much as the fact that they were using tracking pixels from Meta, Google, TikTok, and several other ad agencies. And what most people don't recognize is that these tracking pixels contain a lot of dangerous information that can really lead to de-anonymizing and collecting information that companies do not recognize. So Cerebral, they had sensitive information about people's medical records and things like that. And even on the back-end dashboards where they're entering in social security numbers and insurance information, these tracking pixels were there. And these tracking pixels do have keyloggers. You go in and you type in your social security number, Facebook gets a copy of what you're typing. It's part of that Meta tracking pixel. This is why I put a strong emphasis on blocking the tracking pixels in the host file. And one of the reasons is maybe one of the things I talk about with this graphene phone, that I can't edit the host file on that. There may be other solutions. So don't take that on anything yet. Wait until my video on Graphene OS and we'll discuss all that. But in this case here, the website had tracking pixels for several ad agencies and the big companies, because, hey, we just got to go in and plug in all this data. We need all this data. But the reality is the average website owner, they don't know how to use the data. They don't try to use the data, but the big companies do have and use the data. And that's the concern. So in this case here, that tracking pixel allowed the full exposure of a variety of things that are protected under the HIPAA laws. So why their penalty was $7 million seems like a slap in the face to the rest of us, but at least they're pretending to do something right. So this one here was just an interesting case about being careful at what's out there. And again, I just encourage everybody, block all of those things. Don't rely on an ad blocker to do it, or something else. There's something like 200 domains that Facebook has. You got to block them all. If they're not all being blocked somehow, then that's the issue. I think going forward, the best thing to do is to use some form of custom DNS. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about probably in the graphene video, if not also separate standalone videos. And finally, big tech says the spy bill turns its workers into informants. So this deals with the reinstitution of the FISA courts after they had voted to let them expire. So they're going to vote to let them expire is what they were doing. That's what we reported last week, which was accurate information. And then I think they had 4 months before they finally expired. So they pushed a vote in after the Speaker of the House here was lobotomized by the security agencies behind closed doors. And then he comes out like a zombie, getting everybody to vote to pass the thing. And so it passes, I think, narrowly in the House, and it passed by like a 2/3 majority in the Senate. And so that means that they're voting to expand it. Well, believe it or not, now we have to all sit on the same side as Facebook and Google for a few minutes, because they're all saying the biggest problem with this new bill as it's being passed is it will turn anybody with any level of access of these particular servers or devices into informants. So if the government shows up and like knock, 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 and we are going to come in and the janitor's there, the janitor has to be compelled under this rule to give them access to the server room to see whatever type of data they want. That is what these guys are arguing for. Of course, the government says, well, that's not true. This is just about those bad guys, those bad Russians in China's. So that's kind of what they're all doing. And so it's this giant nonsense where we have once again passed by secret meetings behind closed doors. We have passed all these guys out, and in which case it's just like, yeah, there goes the Constitution right there. Secret meetings. But a number of companies have jumped on and said that this is seriously problematic, particularly the new rulings that they're trying to get into here, which would turn anybody with any level of access to these servers into informants. And that's really what the biggest issue is. So, hey, welcome back, FISA Court. Isn't that totally awesome? Well, with that, let's have a look over at our security news next. And first up in security news, there is a Putty SSH client flaw that allows for the recovery of private keys. Of course, if you are using Windows, switch to Linux. But if you're using Windows, you need to access SSH, you're probably using Putty. Well, there is a problem with Putty. Those of us on Linux, like if you're just switching to Linux, okay, and you're used to using Putty, don't search up for Putty on Linux. Every Linux application has a terminal. That's exactly what Putty is. So you can use the terminal. So in this, what happens is there is a vulnerability between 068 and 080 that if there is a vulnerability and somebody has access to one of the servers, and they have one of the signed messages and the public key, this is enough to grab the private key, allowing access to that server however they want. And so this is a serious vulnerability. And I thought initially, well, not everybody's going to be using this. But until you get to the bottom, and it turns out that Putty is packaged in a variety of things, including FileZilla, which, according to this, Linux Mint's FileZilla might be vulnerable to this. So I'm going to need to look at that a little bit closer, but I pulled it up, and I think Linux Mint's version of FileZilla, as of yesterday when I was looking at this, on a completely up-to-date, now that was a completely up-to-date, I think it was a Linux Mint, I think it was a 20.3 or 21. It's not the latest Linux Mint. It's one version back, but it's fully up-to-date, still runs 3.4.6. So that means the Linux Mint FileZilla might be susceptible to this, and I need to look into that because I use that on a regular basis. So that is a concern. So if you're using that, just be aware of those software versions and take whatever extra steps you think you might need to do. Well, T-Mobile employees across the country, of course, we know T-Mobile is one of the most insecure places. I'm very saddened that they have actually bought Mint Mobile, which I use and is an affiliate, but we're not dropping them at this point in time, especially since my real name is not on Mint Mobile. So sorry. So in this case here, one of the breaches that T-Mobile had, not Mint Mobile, T-Mobile specifically had, is that their employee roster leaked out, which apparently had employee phone numbers. And so scammers have been texting T-Mobile employees and former employees, according to what we assume is maybe a 3 or so month out of date mailing list. They're texting them saying, hey, we'll give you, I think it's $300. Is it $400? $300 per SIM swap. If they're interested, go to this particular Telegram page. So once again, Telegram is being used as the scamming place on the internet. So I don't know. I think Telegram might be like the worst place on the internet. What's worse, Telegram or Discord? I'm not sure at this point in time. So they're basically texting them. The guy, I got your number from the T-Mobile employee directory. I'm looking to pay someone up to $300 per SIM swap. Done. If you're interested, contact at this Telegram spot. So basically, T-Mobile says, yeah, this is kind of happening, but we think it's happening everywhere else too. No evidence of that. We haven't heard any of that. It's just, T-Mobile being T-Mobile. So obviously, the big problem here is that if you're utilizing anything that requires an SMS message, which is frightening because I think almost all banks now require SMS, and they are so far behind. Banks are so far behind on security. They have no means of authorizing any form of security other than phone-based security, which is utterly ridiculous. But that being said, you're not safe. You're not safe. Assume your phone can be compromised. Fortunately, there's some scrupulous people who decided to report this, but there's probably a number of other people who's like, I'd like 300 extra bucks. If I get you 10 of these, I can, buy a new car or something, So that's frightening. Scammers are specifically calling you. Isn't that great? And this is a brand new scam. Of all the times I've been covering scams, I've never seen this one before. So maybe it's not new and I've just never seen it. And even curiously, this one started in Pennsylvania. Isn't it great? Awesome. So this comes on the line of a lot of toll booths now. Instead of dealing with cash or cards or slowing down traffic, they're just putting up security cameras and logging everybody's license plate numbers, and then just sending a bill based on the registered vehicle address. So that's all they're basically doing. Just send those in. Well, scammers, of course, are saying, hey, that looks neat, and people forget where they're going. And so there's an SMS phishing campaign texting people claiming that they have unpaid fees, and if they don't move fast, they'll be fined an additional $50 with a nice little link in there to click the button and pay. Isn't that nice and convenient? So there, again, this is a data breach. It's probably coming to somewhat legitimate people. Now, I don't know if they're like, okay, can we gain access? Do we know you're actually here? Do we know you're actually passing by this place? Or are they just randomly texting this to people in regions that might have these? I don't know. Now, what the FBI is saying is they're seeing a massive increase in these, but they're warning it's probably going to be moving across the country soon to various jurisdictions. So just be aware. Like, I'm very aware if I go over one of these things, what there might be. And there's been one or two times that I'm like, okay, yeah, I know I went over that one. So usually what I do is, rather than wait for them to send the bill, is you can usually also go into the state, enter your license plate number, see it based on your license plate number, and just pay the bill up front. So you can just go ahead and do that. So the message reads, state toll service name. We've noticed an outstanding toll amount of $12.51 on your record. To avoid late fee of $50, visit. And this is what's interesting here is visit myturnpiketollservices.com to settle your balances. That sounds like a legit site. I'm not going to go to it here, but I don't know. I might try that out on a Tails computer sometime soon, see how that looks, or disposable VM on cubes, whatever. So that's a brand new scam. Never seen that before, and definitely an interesting one. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. This affiliate is at high risk, Namecheap. If you happen to need any domains, you can have a look over here at Namecheap. This will help support the channel, tlm.li/NC. This is one of the best places to get domains. People ask a lot about domains, and it's like there's not any overwhelmingly stellar domain registrars, but these guys are very cheap. They have a comprehensive tool package in their system. So whether you're buying your domain to link directly to name servers, or you're just doing record edits, or you can create subdomains inside of your Namecheap account, that's all fine as well. So you can do a lot of maintenance and management stuff. And so if you want to help support the channel, have a look at Namecheap, tlm.li/NC. That will help support the channel and give you some deals on domain names. And with that, let's have a look over at business news next. First up in business news, this is sort of an update. We covered this restaurant before it opened. It is now officially open. Caliexpress, where you can go and you can get an entire fast food meal made entirely by robots, is now open. It's not any cheaper than any of the staffed restaurants. So clearly, they're not doing anything different here. But the latest thing in this is the whole pay with your face. So here is the tagline of this: eat the future, pay with your face. So what this has to do with it, there's so many levels of this thing. First and foremost, Caliexpress is being used to test a variety of different restaurant automation type things to replace all those workers in California, where minimum wage for fast food workers is now $20, except for Panera Bread, because, Gavin Newsom's friend owns several Panera Breads. Go figure. But that being said, on the very day that the new minimum wage went into effect, Caliexpress opened up, allowing people to go in and order burgers. They only have burgers and fries on their menu, and it takes a long time apparently for them to make it, and it's not particularly impressive. But now the greatest thing they're trying to do is this new pay with your face thing. And so what this is a new service that is called Pop ID. So I looked up this company. Look up this company, Pop ID. Be aware of it, because we're going to see it start showing up. Pop ID is trying to effectively be the kind of like the PayPal for biometric face payments. So the idea is you go into Pop ID and you verify your identity and link your bank to that company as a service. And then any company that wants to use these automation things can utilize Pop ID and just go. You're basically going and you're staring at a screen anyway. And just like that vending machine we talked about a couple weeks ago has a camera in it looking back, and it already knows who you are. You just go in and type your screen, and once you hit the done button, your payment is already done because of Pop ID. And so what they're doing now is they're trying to roll this out. So now you go to McDonald's where now they're trying to, they'll still have one register open, but they intentionally don't put anybody over there. You have to go and stand by it looking like a Neanderthal idiot. Ooga, ooga, open register, because they really want you using their automated registers instead. But now what Pop ID will do is they'll go to McDonald's and be like, hey, install Pop ID in the thing. We'll even pay maybe to upgrade your screens to have the cameras retrofitted. And if McDonald's chooses to do that, you go into McDonald's now and anybody that has a Pop ID thing, you just click the Pop ID. It verifies you with biometric scanning. You place your order and it automatically charges your account. Isn't that so wonderful? I mean, who needs that paper money anymore? It's just so inconvenient. It's so much easier to use that central bank digital currency. But that's what they're doing with this whole pay with your face thing. So the burgers are done with the Burger Chef. The fries are done with Flippy. The payment, they're trying to push and promote this Pop ID stuff. And the result is you go in and you still pay $15 for the same overpriced cheeseburger and fries that you get at McDonald's, that still has the real people there. So it's not like, hey, look at this. We can cut our labor costs down. It still costs the same amount of money. But then this journalist says at the end, now I didn't see how long it took him to make his order up at the top, but he did make a point at the very end of the article. He says he goes to McDonald's and he found that going to McDonald's, he said the taste was better. Well, that's a statement right there. The McDonald's burger was better than Caliexpress. But he said it also came a lot faster and the ingredients were clearly cheaper. It wasn't a high quality burger, but he said it was better. He said that only took 1 minute and 26 seconds. And so he's like, yeah, I'll take the human experience well over the automated experience. So that was very interesting to see that that's what's coming up. And now we get to pay attention to this new Pop ID crap. So put that on your radar of things to avoid like the plague. All right. Next up, Microsoft is cracking down now on spam with bulk email sending limits. I don't know why they're allowed to send bulk email anyway, because I get a ton of spam from Gmail and from Outlook and all this kind of stuff. It's like, you guys are all concerned about blocking my email server. And I do. Like right now, I know, Ted Caberdashi, I know you sent me an email a couple weeks ago. I tried to reply. Your emails are bouncing, man. One of my clients' emails are bouncing. Like, they keep on blocking my stuff. I ain't the problem. I'm getting massive amounts of spam from Outlook and from Google and all sorts of these authentic places. Yet my legitimate emails that are literally reply to emails bouncing. So anyway, now they're trying to put a limit on it. So now they're putting a limit on 2,000 external recipients. So great. Now the scammers will just, split it over, 5 emails instead of 1 email, send out that 10,000 spam messages a day. So, there you go. So that's kind of what Microsoft's doing. I generally support this, but yeah, maybe you could do a little bit better stuff. Same thing like Facebook. With all this data collection and all this automation, Facebook's trying, we're going to use AI tools. Why is it, Facebook, I still get hundreds of messages for my client? Your account is going to be canceled. Your account is going to be canceled. They are the same copy-paste script. You haven't blocked it yet? My Lord. This is not about making things better for you. This is about making things better for them. But anyway, I generally support that. And finally, YouTube has put third-party clients on notice, show ads, or get blocked. So this is targeting things like NewPipe, and I know Louis Rossman's group has one, probably that one as well. YouTube Vance was forced to shut down. Basically, they're looking at any form of third parties that's also grabbing YouTube videos and recognizing those and throttling those so that they have a really poor experience is what their object is on getting things going. And so in this further cash grab, now if you're like, okay, I just can't deal with this, whatever else, I don't know, it's starting. If I can mention, just reminisce quickly on my thoughts. I'm wondering maybe I should throw some money at YouTube Premium. I don't know. I mean, I'm on the fence about it. I really am on the fence about it. Obviously, there's nothing in their offerings that I really want other than the ad-free experience. But, I'm thinking legitimately, it might be worth throwing at least one of my accounts, I mean, I have a couple different YouTube accounts I watch things on. I don't know. I'm not having any problems, though. My ad blocker is working just fine. I don't use anything like NewPipe. I don't watch videos on my phone. I don't watch videos on any other apps or anything like that. But for those that are, if you're using NewPipe, you might start having a bad experience depending on how Google figures this out and figures out what's going on there. But I don't know. They're fighting back harder and harder against this, and I think that it shows that something is going on. Whereas if they kind of let that in and gave better incentives. So, like, for example, I haven't turned on the YouTube channel memberships yet. I get notifications about it all the time. Turn on channel memberships. I'm like, I don't really want to. If I turn that on, it might be a better thing. I might get a lot of you guys might want me to turn that on so you can pay and support directly there. I think one of the challenges I don't have the time to do like the extra content that it kind of wants me to do. I'm already busy, but if the channel keeps growing like it's been growing in the last couple of weeks, I might be able to do that and just do less web design work and pay all my bills with this. I don't know. I'm just reminiscing here. But that being said, they are fighting too hard against this. And I think that this type of stuff is going to push more people away because there are viable alternatives. Obviously, this channel, if this goes crazy, you can always catch my stuff on Odyssey, Rumble, or BitChute as well. And for whatever that's worth. And I don't mind if you use an ad blocker on my videos. That's fine. If you like my content and you really want to support, we have multiple ways that you can help support. You can always tip a video directly if you want, if you like it, but you can go in and you can use the tip service on YouTube. That's fine. You can use any of the supporter networks we have, Patreon, Subscribestar, Think Life Media, and Locals. You can do any of those. So I don't really care if people use ad blocker on my videos. Maybe that's why I don't really care if I use ad blocker on other people's videos. But it's an interesting debate. I'll just say that. It is a very interesting debate. But let's debate the silliness of Sillyville. So let's go ahead and have a look over there, see what's going on. And we had some great ones. Of course, this first one, I can't show you the video because it's Facebook and that's all blocked on my network. But Florida police officers complete a grocery delivery after they arrested the driver. So this is one of the grocery delivery services. And they didn't, at least in not the B article, they didn't tell us which one it was, like DoorDash or whatever else. I don't think DoorDash does grocery deliveries, but, Instacart type stuff, things like that. And so what happened is this guy is apparently running for one of the gig economies delivering groceries, and the police spot the license plate of a known guy with a warrant. And so they pull him over, and as they're arresting the guy, they see he has a bag of groceries in the back with probably the branding of the delivery store. And so, not wanting the groceries to go to waste, they go ahead and complete the delivery for the delivery driver. I wonder who got the tip. I don't know. Here's a tip. Turn yourself in. Don't drive around with a warrant. But that's what the police did. So they finished that up. That was a great little story. This is police doing real police work. Got to deliver them groceries. All right, we got it. And this company called Dark is building a rocket-powered boxing glove to push debris out of orbit. Yes, not only have we completely polluted the planet, now we've completely polluted space. So we have all of this trash orbiting around the planet now. This is why the aliens get close. This is why, by the way, I do not believe we've had any alien visitors around here. Dude, they come around and they're like, that's the other side of the tracks, guys. Let's not go there. That place is like the worst place we'd ever want to go. Like... Look at these idiots, man. They're littering space. So now we're going to say, well, let's just go ahead and take this thing and we're just going to push it on further into space. Let some alien deal with it out there. Knowing us, we're going to do something stupid. It's going to get out there. Going to throw a comet just off trajectory. And here it is. It's going to be just enough to push Apophis that one last 0.5 degree that causes a direct impact into Yellowstone, triggering a giant global eruption of super volcanoes. And then the world will end. I'm all for it. Oh, sweet meteor of doom, Apophis 2029. All right. So anyway, this company, because there's so much junk orbiting the planet, it's now getting in the way. The junk is getting in the way of the real satellites. So now this company is going to go up there with the SWAT team of space with a boxing glove to push crap out of the orbit. We as a species are lost, guys. We're done. We're done. We're done. All right. Well, just a warning, this next one may not be the most child-friendly. The world's first AI-powered beauty pageant is underway. Ms. AI Women is announced. The Miss AI contest will see computer-generated ladies face off in tests of beauty. Now, I was deeply offended as a legitimate ally of the LGBTQ++ IALMNOP group, that none of these AI ladies looked like transgender AI ladies. These are all legit looking ladies, not like AI, I mean, come on, where are the brave and stunning transgender ladies in Miss AI? Come on, guys, we are missing the mark. Inclusivity is the goal here. Let's go. Anyway, a Miss AI contest will see computer-generated ladies face off in tests of beauty, technology, and social media clout with a $20,000 prize at stake. So this is, they're going to be open, is it British? I don't even know. The FANU Miss AI pageant will see AI-generated ladies go head-to-head in front of a panel of judges, including 2 AI influencers. The synthetic competitors will be judged on beauty, social media clout, and their creators' use of AI tools. So he hopes he will see the events become the Oscars of the AI economy. So here are, I guess these are some of the solutions. No, even the judges of the competition, the panel includes Anita Lopez, an AI model with more than 30,000 followers. So apparently this is an AI model with 300,000 followers on Instagram. Okay. Then we got this person here. This is a competitor. Kimachi will submit AI-generated images of women, which will be judged by their beauty and poise. See what I mean? Well, that's a dude. But I think that's just the dude behind it. So you see what I mean, though, that there's, we got to ban this thing. It's not inclusive enough. But anyway, the AI competition is going to go out, and we're going to be judging AI women. So that's another reason the alien's like, dude, what are they doing? They're holding beauty pageants of fake people. Dude, let's get out of here. What they have might be contagious. And our last article in Sillyville, the ghostly robot. The haunted Roomba S9 Plus kept me up all night, and iRobot says there's no way to fix it. So who are you going to call? No one. That's who. So apparently the Roomba has some buttons stuck on it, which is causing it to keep on turning on. And it keeps on turning on, and since the buttons are stuck, it starts howling. And if you try and put the child lock on, it howls louder. And it does this randomly starting at 3 a.m. most days. So it wants to first start just going out and start vacuuming at night, which apparently it's noisy. I don't know. I've never had one of these things. No interest in it. And the system now, it'll make noises if it's stuck. So you go and get it. Well, it keeps on sticking itself. And then it says, let's see. One night, the haunted Roomba went too far. It started screaming over and over again. The buttons have been disabled. Use your iRobot home app to clean. So there's no mute setting for it. The robot and the reboot didn't help. The Roomba tormented me. Shut it down, holding the power button. It fell silent. I went to bed, then heard the beeping chime of the Roomba starting up. The robot refused to die. He covered the Roomba with thick blankets to mute the sound, and eventually it ran out of battery power. Now, this is the part that's okay, this is the problem with our world. Contacts Roomba, and they showed me how to remove the battery completely to perform the hard reset failed. The screaming continued. Said, but do not disturb. It lasted a day and a night, but then it turned back on again in the middle of the night. As always, the chime started to chime as it powered down. Then it chimed again, powering up and down and up and down. I unscrewed the battery, and now it sits like an autopsy patient on my table. Now, support for the company says, you are describing means the buttons of the robot are stuck, and unfortunately this issue is non-repairable. So she paid $800 for this S9, which is under warranty, and they're saying we can't fix it. It's under warranty. If you can't fix it, you're supposed to replace it. But apparently that is not a thing. So until we get clarification, until we know for sure that that the company will, if they can't repair your $800 vacuum, they replace it. Unless we get this, guys, you should not be buying anything from this company. In fact, I'd probably recommend, I heard you're not going to honor this under warranty. I want my refund back now, So apparently they're just saying, well, we can't fix it. Sorry. They're not saying we can't fix it. Let's replace it for you. They're just saying we just can't fix it. So total nonsense. So apparently, though, that's, get a Roomba and it'll haunt you in your dreams, quite literally. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. And we also have a Subscribestar page, subscribestar.com/switchedtolinux. You can jump on over there and help support the channel on those. We also have a locals page and Think Life Media, which I don't recommend using at this point in time until we figure out a better plan for that website. But anyway, with that, thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time.